Hi everyone, my name is Parul. Welcome to my channel Parul English Lab. Today I'll show you how to use question tags in English. Question tags are very important because they make conversation go much smoother for English speakers, and that's why good English speakers use them all the time. So let's understand question tags in detail. Question tags are generally used in spoken language to confirm something that is said and to encourage the listener to give an answer. For example, you are going to the party, aren't you? So when you say you are going to the party, that's a statement. When you have to make an interrogative sentence, then you can say, are you going to the market? And when you say you are going to the market, aren't you? So here, aren't you is a question tag. A question tag always comes after a statement or a clause. Let me give you one more example. He is a nice guy, isn't he? I have done my work, haven't I? So, haven't I, is he, isn't he? These are all question tags and they come after a statement. And we use these question tags to confirm something that is said and to encourage the listener to give an answer. Question tags are easy to understand, but there are some rules that we need to follow. First, let's understand how we form a question tag. Look at this sentence. You are going to the school. So you is the subject, are going, are is a helping verb or an auxiliary verb. Going, that's the main verb. Okay, so this is the structure of the sentence. You are going to school. So subject, auxiliary verb and the main verb. Now what you have to do is to make a question tag out of this statement. You will start the question tag with the auxiliary verb. And here the auxiliary verb is are. And one more thing you need to keep in mind. If the sentence or the statement is positive, then the question tag will be negative. And if the statement is negative, then the question tag will be positive. So this is the rule that you have to keep in mind while forming a question tag. So here the sentence is, you are going to school tomorrow. So here we will first take the auxiliary verb, that is are, and since the statement is positive, then we have to make a negative question tag. So are not becomes aren't. Aren't is the contraction of are not, and we generally use contractions in question tags. So aren't and then the pronoun. Aren't you? So you are going to the school tomorrow, aren't you? And then the other person will say yes or no. So you are going to the school tomorrow, aren't you? Again, you want a confirmation, you want an answer from the listener. Let me give you one more example. They have seen it. They have seen it. So they is the subject, have is an auxiliary verb, seen is the main verb. So they have seen it. So we will pick the auxiliary verb first. So have, and since the statement is positive, we have to make a negative question tag. They have seen it. So haven't. Have not is haven't. So the contracted form of have not is haven't. So they have seen it. Haven't they? So this way we make question tags. Now I want to tell you one more thing. Look at this sentence. I am going home. So when you have a sentence like this where the subject is I am going home. So here don't use ain't. I have told you earlier also that the contracted form of am not is not ain't. It's aren't. Okay? Are not and am not is aren't. Always. So when there's a statement, I am going tomorrow or I'm going home, so the question tag will be aren't I? So I'm going home, aren't I? Or I'm not going home, am I? Okay, so this way you will make a question tag. Next rule that you need to keep in mind is, if the pronoun is used as a subject, then the question tag will have the same pronoun. Question tag will use the same pronoun. For example, he is a nice guy. So here the pronoun is he. He is a nice guy, and the question tag will be isn't he? He is a nice guy. Isn't he? So here we took the auxiliary verb, is, and negative of is not. So isn't he? So you have to pick the same pronoun from the statement in the question tag. And if the noun is used as a subject, then you have to use the pronoun based on the gender and number in the question tag. For example, Max is a nice guy. Isn't he? So here you are not using isn't Max. No, you will use the pronoun according to the noun. Okay, so since we are talking about a boy, so we will use he. Max is a nice guy. Isn't he? Tia is very helpful. Isn't she? Or Tia is not nice. Is she? So this way you will make question tags. If the sentence contains a modal verb like would, could, should, then question tag will use the same modal verb. For example, they should reach on time. Shouldn't they? They should reach on time. Shouldn't they? And contracted form of should not is shouldn't. So the statement is positive. They should reach on time. That's why we will make a negative question tag. Shouldn't they? You shouldn't go there. Should you? So it's a negative statement. You should not. You shouldn't go there. Should you? So the question tag is positive. Okay. So when the statement is negative, question tag will be positive. And if the statement is positive, question tag will be negative. I couldn't do that. Could I? I couldn't do that. Could I? I could do that. Couldn't I? You will meet him tomorrow. Won't you? So will not, contraction of will not is won't. So you will meet him tomorrow. Won't you? Or you won't meet him tomorrow. Will you? She can help us. Can't she? She can't help us. Can she? Sentences with has, have and had as a main verb, then the question tag will have the verb do. For example, she has a beautiful smile. Doesn't she? Okay, so here she has a beautiful smile. So here has is acting as a main verb. She has a beautiful smile. That's why we will use the verb do. So with she, we use does. That's why I'm using does here. She has a beautiful smile. Doesn't she? It's a positive statement. That's why I'm using doesn't. Doesn't is the contracted form of does not. So she has a beautiful smile. Doesn't she? They don't have an answer. Do they? They don't have an answer. So here the main verb is have and it's a negative sentence. They don't have an answer. So the question tag will be do they? Because the statement is negative, so we have to make a positive question tag. They don't have an answer. Do they? You had a good job last year, didn't you? So here I'm using did because we are talking about past. We are not talking about the present, we are talking about the past. You had a good job last year. So that's why I'm using the past form of the verb do. You had a good job last year, didn't you? So did not becomes didn't. Didn't you? So this way, when the sentence has have, has and had as the main verb, then the question tag will use the verb do. Next rule is when sentences have action words in simple present tense, then question tags will have the verb do or does. For example, he learns the guitar. So here he learns the guitar. This is simple present tense and this sentence has an action verb that is learn. He learns the guitar. So the question tag will be doesn't he? So I'm using does because with he, she, it we use does, otherwise we use do. So doesn't he? He learns the guitar. Doesn't he? She goes to the market. Doesn't she? I clean the car every weekend. Don't I? Or I don't clean the car. Do I? Next rule is sentence with the past tense will have question tag formed with the verb did. For example, they met him last week. So this is simple past, subject and second form of the verb. They met him last week. Didn't they? So here we are using did because when the statement is in simple past, then we will have did in the question tag. They met him last week. Didn't they? Didn't is the contracted form of did not. So didn't they? We didn't complete our work on time. Did we? When there is an imperative sentence, then the question tag will have will. Now we all know what are imperative sentences. We have done different type of sentences. If you haven't watched my video of different kind of sentences, then I will mention the link in description box. You can watch it. So imperative sentences are mostly orders, request or advice. So whenever there is an imperative sentence, then the question tag will have will. Now we have two types of imperative sentences. One is positive and the other one is negative. So in both the cases, we will use will. We will not use will not. Okay. For example, go there. Will you? Complete your work on time. Will you? Don't meet him. Will you? Don't go out right now. Will you? Don't eat it. Will you? So this way, in negative or positive, both kind of imperative sentences, you will use will. Sometimes we have imperative sentences that start with let's. Okay, so now when you have these kind of sentences, for example, let's go out, then you will use shall we? Let's go out. Shall we? Or let me do it. Shall I? Then we use shall. Shall I? Let's go there. Shall we? Let's clean it up. Shall we? Let her do it. Will you? Let her do it. Will you? So when you are using let us, let's, then you will use shall we. When you use let me do it, shall I? Then shall I. And when you're talking about the third person or the permission, let her go there. Will you? Let them do it. Will you? So this way we use shall I, shall we or will you. So this way generally we use will with imperative sentences, and I hope you understood everything about question tags. So please practice and revise everything. If you have any doubts, you can always mention in comment section. Please like and subscribe to my channel Parul English Lab, and don't forget to press the bell icon for future notifications. Thank you. Take care. Have a great day.